going to do what I hope is a quick review of the 2012 Kia Sorento. And we bought this car for much the same reason that you may be considering it. It provides a third row of seats so that the kids can get to soccer practice. And I'm not sure why it is, but in the United States at least, they forced us into the SUV class in order to get a third row of seats. I had a it must have been a 1985 Ford Taurus that had a third row, and it was a station wagon. But in the United States, they only provide a couple of things, options for the third row, and that is the Hyundai Rondo, which they don't even make anymore. That had a third row, but it didn't get very good gas mileage. The other option, I guess, is the Mazda 5, and the Mazda 5 as well does not get very good gas mileage. So they're putting us essentially in the SUV class, and that means more money for them and less money for us initially, but also because we have to pay more in gas because these are much heavier cars. So if you're listening out there, you're a car manufacturer, please make a station wagon that has a third row. The complaint about the third row had always been the same thing, right? The first thing was that it was dangerous, right? The kids would be back there and you'd be tail-ended. A lot of these third row seats sat backwards. They were sort of jump seats. But the problem with that logic that you couldn't put another set of seats in here because it was unsafe for the very back drivers was kind of thrown off by the company Tesla. Tesla makes, of course, electric cars. They're also the safest manufacturer. They have the safest cars, and they didn't stop them from putting in a couple of jump seats that sat backwards. And so I think it's in every model that they have another thing. And the way they dealt with it was by putting a big chunk of very heavy steel in the back to protect anybody in the back. Their seats, by the way, sit backwards, which of course kids love. Now the other complaint was that, well, you know, the seats are so small in the back, and if you put it into a station wagon, they'll be even smaller and there's not enough room. Look, we're just trying to get to dinner. We're just trying to get to soccer practice. We're not trying to go across the world in this thing. So please, if you're manufacturing cars, think again about making a station wagon that gets good gas mileage. Think of the Honda Civic as a station wagon with the third row. The styling, you either like it or you don't like it. I remember watching a show recently by BMW, and BMW designers had said that you should make the car look like an athlete in a suit, and that means big thighs. So I guess these are the big thighs back here, that you should try to make it as jolly and powerful looking as possible. I don't get that. I don't think it's necessary. I'm a child of the 60s, and so I think cars should look kind of like cars. The other thing is that if you look at the front spoiler, which is not bad in this, you know, for this kind of SUV, but it's very aggressive looking. And I don't know why car manufacturers insist on making every car look like a shark that's about to attack you. You're supposed to be scaring off other drivers or what? Look at those eyeballs. They look like they're going to get out of it. Kind of scary. But generally speaking, I think for SUVs, it's a pretty good looking car. Now, we bought this for about $19,500. It had about 40,000 miles on it. And of course, I did what every mistake that you possibly could do when I got to the dealer. I walked in with $18,000 and I walked out paying $19,500 for it, because dealers are ever so good at getting every last cent out of you. In any case, the interior, I rent a lot of cars. I always try to rent the Hyundais and the Kias just because they're so intuitive, and there's nothing here that is counterintuitive. Everything's pretty much where it should be. A couple cup holders. There's a couple cup holders as well in the doors, and there's a very big hatch right in the middle console that works really well. The glove compartment will just about hold a pair of gloves, and that's it. Other than that, the one thing I would say that was engineered pretty poorly in this car was bringing the seats down. So, you know, we have Chrysler doing the stow and go and everything else, and they could have reverse engineered something a little bit better. But like this hatch doesn't come up. I'm not showing it, but if you just pull up on it, it doesn't come up. You got to use a lot of strength. So I had to go to the dealer and I said, I think the chair is broken. It won't come down. And they said, no, you got to push the butt of your hand in first and then pull up on the back, and then it will release. And even that, it was, you know, it catches a lot. It's very hard to get around. To get people in, you got to then pull up on this which of course I can't do because the front seat isn't far up enough. And then it's not a very elegant entrance way. It only allows you to enter from the one side. I guess this is the passenger side, so you can't do it from that side over there. But you would pull up on this, and then that folds up. And I don't know if I'm not up far enough with the front seat or what the problem. Oh, there we go. And then they have to climb in through here to get to the back seat. The way back seats fold down like this, and you would pull up. Sorry, I dropped you. You pull up on this. The iPhone works well now. Pull up on this strap here, and then you let it down. We found out the hard way that exactly that happens. It will brush up against the middle seating and scratch it. And we put some pretty deep scratches in the back of that. So some engineering problems, the things that they could have done a little bit better with the Kia. But again, it's the only option, it seems to me, for a third row seat if you want to pay under $20,000. Now these new go for about $35,000. But it is a good option if you need that third row. And again, you know, we're not trying to go across the country in this thing. We're just trying to get to soccer practice. And so it's the clearest option for us. It was really the only option that we were willing to pay. The other thing that's a little bit difficult with the Sorento, with the light colored seats, inevitably, if somebody sits down and they're just wet from the pool or they're sweaty, you get these deep marks in the fabric, which you think they would have engineered that out. You'd think somebody would have poured water on there and said, oh, water stains it. Now the good news is it cleans off pretty easily. The bad news is you got to keep cleaning it off. Okay, so there it is. The Kia Sorento 2012. Overall, I'd give it a B. Thanks.